Today we're going to be talking about arguably one of the most important cultural masterpieces of our generation. Actually, no. Your Honor, no. Objection. Correction. Of all time.
It was a cultural reset.
I'm of course talking about the Bee Movie. And I don't know why I look like Hillary Clinton in a suit today, but we're gonna accept that now. And we're gonna move on.
Eve, why do you look like Hillary Clinton?
This suit be giving me dreams. It's literally not me talking, it's the suit talking. The Bee Movie is a cult classic. However, I do realise there may be some uneducated of you out there, so we're just gonna watch a key summary. It's like when you studied English at school, but then you never read the books because you don't have the attention span or the English ability to be able to pick up a piece of literature. So you kind of just watch the film, and then you realise by your mock exam that it's not gonna be enough because you don't have any of the quotes from the actual novel, and the film is actually very thematically different to the novel. Therefore, you can't rely on Of Mice and Men, the film, to get you through your GCSE English literature. That would be an example of where a film summary wouldn't work.
You like jazz. OMG, a talking bee. Hey, let's be friends. Okay. Hey, what's that? Oh, that's honey that us humans get from bees. That's stealing. Oh. Let's take legal action against humanity. 30 minutes of court scenes in a children's movie later. Yay, we won.
The Bee Movie has also come out with some of the best memes of all time. The Bee Movie, but the bees are thick.
This is stealing.
The Bee Movie, but edited like 50 Shades of Grey.
Human.
This is a bit of a surprise to me.
You like jazz?
I noticed that Barry B. Benson didn't have any legal representation, and so that's why I've got my court suit on today. Today we are going to take on the case of Barry B. Benson versus humanity. First thing to say in this video, this is a sponsored video. We're all shocked. We are honestly all shocked. However, this is a sponsored video by Goodwall. Goodwall is an app-based student community. It is free to download on iOS or Android. It can help you celebrate your achievements and look for opportunities with a huge student and young graduate community. So on your Goodwall profile, as you can see, I've got my little profile here with my pink suit looking pretty iconic, I have to say. You can put down all your achievements, your skills, your ideas. The Goodwall feed is such a good place to find motivation, and it's personalized based on the interests that you have registered. Opportunities tab gives you access to hand-picked scholarships, jobs, even remote internships. And there's a really cool feature on the app which allows you to join group chats with other students and young graduates around the world. So if you're interested and you want to have a little scroll and explore around on the Goodwall app, the link is in the description to download. If you do download the app, make sure you hashtag your post quarantine with Eve, and I will be going through and liking and commenting on as many as I can. So let's just skip to the trial and to all of our legal inaccuracies. I will also say at the start of this video, Legal Eagle did an incredible analysis of the Bee Movie courtroom scene. You should 100% go and watch that.
Our top story, a Tri-County bee, Barry Benson, is saying he intends to sue the human race for stealing our honey.
Now there are a number of issues here, and if I was being super legal about this, the first thing I would question is, how do you define humanity? How do you define humans as like a class of claimants? However, what I'm focusing on more is that a bee is going to court. To my awareness, I'm 22 years old. I personally have not heard a bee talk. So I guess not really to get petty, but how is a bee gonna go to court? You know, is he a qualified lawyer or is he representing himself? We don't know. We're gonna find out.
Sarah, it's an incredible scene here in downtown Manhattan where all eyes and ears of the world are anxiously waiting because for the first time in history, we're going to hear for ourselves if a honeybee can actually speak.
Also, side note, courts in the UK don't look like that. I think that was the defense lawyer. I think that's who we will be up against in this trial. He do have his espresso though.
Maybe you boys work on this.
Who has honey in their I don't like this guy. Who has honey in their coffee? That should be a crime. Let's countersue with that motion.
The Honorable Judge Bumbleton presiding.
All right, case number 4475, Superior Court of New York, Barry B. Benson versus the honey industry is now in session.
Okay, so the case has now changed. Barry is no longer suing humanity. He's suing the honey corporations, which makes more sense. And it's why I'm still concerned about the fact he has no legal representation or advice here. Like, who's giving him some guidance on who he can and can't sue? Because I've not seen him with a lawyer at this point.
You're representing all bees of the world?
I'm kidding. Yes, Your Honor, we're ready to proceed.
Barry's a jokester. So if you have a trial of bees v humans, but all of the jury and the judge are humans, is that not a conflict? And also Vanessa, Barry's human friend who's in court with him, is a human as well, which is a conflict of interest. She's suing humanity even though she's a human. But unlike Vanessa, who is clearly unprofessional in this situation, I've prepared for this. Vanessa, I'm sorry. Vanessa, I'm sorry, you can step down from your duties because Barry has a new bee advocate. Also, I'm noting here, the judge is called Bumbleton. You know what, I actually can't deal with this case. This case is so problematic already. There are humans judging a trial of bees against humans, which is a conflict. And then I also thought a human judge was a conflict, but she's called Honorable Judge Bumbleton, so maybe she's also a bee. So Barry intends to represent all bees of the world, and to be fair, that does hold some kind of legal validity. In the US, it's called a class action lawsuit. In the UK, it's called collective action. So a court can decide to kind of conveniently group together cases just as a matter of case management and time management. You can have a group litigation order where, say, several claims all kind of have the same common cause, then you can all sue as one entity. And then finally, you can also have representative actions, and representative actions are basically where one person will represent the views of a large majority group. The important thing here is, how do you actually define a class? Like, can you literally bring a class action on behalf of all bees? Okay, so in the High Court, a representative action can be brought where more than one person has the same interest in a claim, and the claim is brought by or against one or more of those persons. So I think we can assume that's a definable class of claimants, so good work, Barry. Okay, let's listen to the defense's opening argument.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my grandmother was a simple woman. Born on a farm, she believed it was man's divine right to benefit from the bounty of nature God put before us.
I kind of love the drama of intense orchestral music being played behind the opening statements. Kind of, you know, you feel things.
Silkworm for the elastic in my breeches.
That wouldn't be allowed in court. Okay, so that was pretty much the worst opening statement ever. He makes absolutely no legal points, and the points he does make are completely irrelevant, and they don't even really help his case. Like, he's like, the bees could be made by laser beams.
They could be using laser beams.
Like, honey, honey. All of his arguments are just so stupid and I hate them. But the second thing is that he really reminds me of that lawyer that's in Trial by Media. I don't know if anyone's seen Trial by Media on Netflix, but there's a lawyer on Trial by Media called Jeffrey Feiger.
I'm a real lawyer, a damn good lawyer, the best lawyer this state has to offer. And I've built a reputation for standing up for the people of this country, righting the wrongs. You may not agree with all of my views, but when it comes to trying cases, there's only one view: justice. And justice is what I get. Feiger law. That's why we're unstoppable.
The joke about Jeffrey Feiger, and one of the reasons why he's a very renowned advocate in the States, is that he literally will deliver opening statements for hours. Like in the Trial by Media episode, his opening statement was 2.5 hours long. His opposition's opening statement was less than a minute long. And he would develop these storylines to try and make the jury feel really emotive towards his case. Watching that, I didn't feel moved or emotional at all. And I'm very easy to be made emotive. Like, give me a good dramatic line and I'll shed a tear. Oh my god, that's the notepad I use at work. That's the exact shade of yellow notepad that I use at work. I should call her. Okay, Barry B. Benson's opening statement. What's he gonna say? What kind of tactics is he gonna use here? Also, he's so tiny. Like, imagine how small a bee is. You know when you like are outside and like a bee comes past you and you kind of just like, it's so small. Imagine being in a courtroom. I think this affects me the most because I have really bad eyesight. And if I was in a courtroom and there was a bee kind of like buzzing around and talking, I'd be on a different planet. Maybe we could mic him up. In courts, you have microphones for that exact reason. If they're recording the trial or if it's hard to hear a certain claimant or witness, then they will have microphones in courts. I think Barry would look great with a Britney microphone, so we're just gonna Photoshop one on. This is what Nikki meant when she went, you gotta be a beast. That's the only way they'll respect you. She was talking about Barry Benson. Oh my god, but his ears are like in his antennae. Run this down, put it here, and then he would have the mic bit here. I think that looks fierce, and quite honestly, that's what he should have been given in court. Like, in court, you need proper representation. Okay, so now in the case, we go through a number of witnesses. We have witness 1, which is Mr. Klaus Vanderheyden. We have witness number 2, which is Sting from the literal band The Police, which then we find out Sting is not his actual name, so he has appropriated B culture.
Have you ever been stung, Mr. Sting?
Witness number 3, which is Mr. Ray Liotta, which, not gonna lie, he kind of has the same eyebrows as me. One of us was gonna have to change. Also, he's such a violent witness. Without a doubt, he would be in contempt of court. And also, I don't know whether any of you have seen Judge Rinder, but any whiff of violence or aggression on Judge Rinder, and he throws them out. He, honestly, some of his serves.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
I had a good party.
Do you know what? Get out. Out!
I would like to call Mr. Barry Benson B to the stand.
Also, one of the jurors is clapping, like that's so not allowed in court.
You've got to weave some magic with this jury or it's gonna be all over.
Oh, don't worry, Mr. Gamble. The only thing I have to do to turn this jury around is to remind them of what they don't like about bees.
They're gonna manage to make a bee sting the lead defense attorney in order to show the violence of bees. Do bees die after stinging? Honeybees are the only bees to die after stinging. But anyway, back to the courtroom scene. I'm thinking, if he planned to stage an event where he knew that the bumblebee would sting him upon aggravation, is that premeditated murder?
Adam, don't! That's what he wants!
Oh, Lord! The venom! The venom is coursing through my veins!
Venom? I sure hope it does.
Road work ahead? Yeah, I sure hope it does.
No, but honeybees aren't venomous, are they? The most venomous bee on the planet is the Africanized honeybee. Oh my god, they're huge. Oh my god, the queens can grow 2 inches long. Asian giant hornets can use mandible-shaped shark fins shark fins on a bee to wipe out a honeybee hive in a matter of hours, decapitating the bees and flying away with their thoraxes to feed their young.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, free these bees!
Free the bees! Free the bees! Free the bees!
The court finds in favor of the bees!
I also don't understand that, because the point in having a jury is that the jury is meant to decide the decision, but the judge has just...
Vanessa, do you know what this means? All the honey is finally gonna belong to the bees.
I think it's important here to distinguish between de jure and de facto, which, yes, that was a bit of Latin. I am educated. De jure basically describes a practice or a law that's legally recognized, regardless of whether it's actually been adopted in practice. For example, there are loads of old laws in the UK which are technically laws, but they're never actually enforced in practice. For example, there's a law in the UK which says you can't run down a street suspiciously holding salmon, as in the fish, salmon. So it's de jure, but it's not de facto. De facto basically describes how the law is actually used in practice. So here, the judge has ruled in favor of Barry B. Benson. So that's the de jure judgment. But do I think this would lead to all of the honey being taken off the shelves and being returned to all the bees? Probably not. Also because the common result of tort or civil claims is a monetary reward. They would be given some kind of level of compensation. The point of claiming damages and calculating damages in a court case is essentially to be put back in the same position that you would have been if the act hadn't have happened. But I don't know how that would work in practice, because you can't put the bees back in the position that they would have been in if humans just hadn't existed. And how would you financially compensate a bee? How would you give money a bee? Like, bees don't have bank accounts.
You like jazz?
So as a representation of a realistic trial, I have to give the Bee Movie a pretty low mark. But to be honest, as kind of like a point of inspiration for many philosophical thoughts throughout this whole video about humanity, about giant Asian hornets, I would give it a pretty high mark. It will forever be a cultural reset. Bee Movie. Eve, you're just coming in with these jokes today.